I think we're on now. I'm not sure, but I'm going to take a chance on this one. Yes, I think we're on. Ricardo is not available this morning, so I have the pleasure of starting this conversation with Ian Barker and Karl Dewazien. I just want to say before we start this whole thing, how lucky we are to have these two gentlemen be part of this panel. I mean, these are some of the two best youth coaches in North America, and maybe further than that. So we're very, very lucky and very happy to have you guys both on the panel. Welcome, Ian, and welcome, Karl. We start with you, Ian. Just a little bit of a bio about yourself so people know who they're talking to, and the same with you, Karl, if you don't mind.
Sure. So thanks, Tony, for hosting. Hopefully Ricardo's doing well in Portugal. I know he's got a couple of other conflicts today, and my involvement with the NSCAC is in large part thanks to Tony Waiters and John De Benedictis, who've been very gracious in connecting with me here at United Soccer Coaches, which used to be the NSCAA. My time in America started in 1987, right after university. So I have really only ever coached in the United States. So the English accent is helpful, and I obviously have an English soccer background, but all my coaching has been conducted in North America. I coached university here in the States, Division I and Division III for 21 years, and then additionally did 10 years as a state director for Minnesota Youth Soccer in the US Youth Soccer model, which is where Karl and I crossed paths when he was in Northern California and I was in Minnesota. And then the last 7.5 years, I've been working for, again, United Soccer Coaches, what used to be the NSCAA, which is a membership organization of coaches. We have no mandate power. We don't register players. Coaches and players register with a number of other organizations in the US. But we provide a range of services for coaches, as does the NSCAC, including education, including awards and rankings, the convention, and insurance and some other things like that. So we try to help the coach in his or her career, be they part-time, volunteer, or all the way up through the professional ranks. That's what we do.
Thank you, Ian. Karl? We lost Karl, I think.
I think we maybe dropped Karl for a while. So if he comes back, he can introduce himself. But if you want to get into the meat, we can get.
Well, maybe you and I can start the conversation here. So our topic today is, where do I begin when planning my training session? Oh, here is Karl. We lost you there for a second, Karl.
Well, Tony, seems like you guys want to lose me all the time.
No, we don't want to do that. Before we continue then, Karl, Ian just said a short bio of himself. Would you like to do yours as well?
I would love to. First of all, I'd like to thank John Benedictus, the NSC2A, for inviting me in, and it's nice to reacquaint with Tony and Ian, whom I've met over the years. I've had the privilege of working with children from the age of 2, 3, and 4, working with teams in junior high school, college, semi-pro. And probably the biggest thing that I had the opportunity is I was the state director of coaching for the California Youth Soccer Association, which had about 250,000 players registered at the time. And I was there for working for the association from 1978 until 2012, when they micromanaged me out of the position because I'm more of a recreation coach rather than a competitive coach. And now my current position is I'm working with District 7 as the recreation administrator, running coaching courses, etc. And I try to use the internet now to reach mom and dad coaches, and hopefully we can improve the playing environment for the children. And I do it through my website, which is 3Ws.fundamentalsoccer.com.
All right, Karl, thank you very much. So we would like to welcome also all the people that are watching and listening in today. Send in your questions if you like, and we can ask Ian and Karl to reply to some of your questions. So the topic for today is, where do I begin when planning my training session? Boy, oh boy, where do I begin? So we'll begin with you, Ian, if you don't mind, and give us your view on that.
Yeah, so there are two things that come to mind right off the bat before we get into the real sort of detail.
Yeah.
But one is, I think every coach, pretty much at any level, and I've actually witnessed this at Manchester United, so it would certainly apply down in our grassroots programs in Pickering or wherever, is the coach has to be prepared to amend and adjust his or her plan, because seldom do you get the right number of kids for the plan you have prepared, or the right facilities, so on and so forth, or the right amount of time. So I think every coach, when he or she prepares their plan, and we'd like them to prepare their plan, but they should be aware that the plan is probably going to have to be amended just by virtue of the way things fall out. And then the other sort of 36,000 foot type idea, the macro idea, is this notion of developmentally appropriate. So we have to know, to the best of our ability, what are the capabilities of our players based on their chronological age, physical, cognitive, and certainly something that I know is close to Karl's heart, their socio and emotional type level. Because I think sometimes we find lesson plans online, or we watch a video of Pep Guardiola coaching Man City, and then we go out and try to do that with 6-year-olds. So this notion of developmentally appropriate, which means that every single coach is an expert in his or her realm, because no coach knows their facility, their environment, their group of players better than anybody else. So it's great to have experts giving you advice, but at the end of the day, you need to critically understand the developmental appropriateness of what you're planning. And we can help with that. We can give you ideas, but we don't know what your kids look like and how your players will react. So that's up to every coach. And I think that should empower the coach to be an expert in his or her environment, because I do believe we need to honor the coach that's out there actually